Cadet Hannah sat in the observation deck, watching the training ground below through the large glass window. Her blue skin showed purple spots when she was confused, and right now those spots were getting darker by the minute. The human students were doing something impossible. She checked her datapad again. The gravity settings were correct, exactly 1G, which was normal for most species in the Academy. The obstacle course was set to standard difficulty. Everything looked right on paper, but what she saw with her own eyes made no sense. Down on the training field, students from different planets struggled with the basic exercises. The tall Centaurians were breathing hard after just 5 minutes of running. Her own people, the Veloxians, were using their 3 arms to pull themselves up the rope climb, and even then they moved slowly. The small Altarians could barely lift the training weights. But the humans, they moved like the gravity was turned off. June, one of the human cadets, was helping a struggling Altarian student climb the rope. He held the smaller alien with one hand, while gripping the rope with the other, pulling both of them up easily. When he reached the top, he wasn't even breathing hard. Mina, another human, finished the running course first. She crossed the finish line and immediately started stretching, looking like she had just taken a pleasant walk instead of running 2 kilometers. Hannah zoomed in with her recording device to check their vital signs. Human heart rate stayed steady. Their breathing was calm. According to the medical scanners, they were using less oxygen than students who were struggling to keep up. This made no sense. Earth was listed as a Class 12 habitable world in all the official files. That meant normal gravity, normal air, normal everything. Humans should be average in every way. But these humans moved like they were born on a high-gravity planet. During the combat training session, things got even stranger. When Instructor Vex told everyone to give maximum effort, the humans seemed to hold back. Hannah noticed how June pulled his punches during sparring matches. When Mina grappled with a much larger Borvian student, she could have easily won, but she made it look like a fair fight. They were pretending to be weaker than they really were. That evening, Hannah made sure to sit near the human table in the dining hall. Her species had very good hearing, much better than humans knew. She listened carefully to their quiet conversation. "Remember what Command told us about tomorrow's strength tests?" June was saying in a low voice. "We need to be careful." "I hate this," Mina replied, cutting her food with more force than needed. "This gravity feels like nothing. It's like trying to run underwater, but in reverse." A third human, Quan, looked around nervously before speaking. "Better than showing them what we can really do. You remember the briefings." I know, Mina sighed. "But sometimes I wonder what would happen if we just stopped pretending." "Panic," June said simply. "That's what would happen." Hannah's skin turned bright purple. In her species, that color meant extreme curiosity mixed with concern. What were the humans hiding? And why did they need to hide it? She spent the next 2 hours in her room, looking through every file she could access about Earth and humans. Most of the information was basic. Earth's size, its distance from the sun, the types of animals that lived there. Everything seemed normal, but some files had strange gaps. Data that should have been there was missing. Other files were marked as classified or access denied. For a supposedly normal planet, Earth had a lot of secrets. Her roommate, Crix, floated into the room using his natural anti-gravity organs. His species looked like jellyfish, but were actually quite intelligent. "You're still thinking about the humans," he said, seeing all the data files floating around Hannah. "Something is wrong with their planet classification," she replied, showing him a chart she had made. "Look at these performance numbers. Humans score higher than every other species in physical tests, but their planet is listed as completely average." Crix's color-changing skin flashed yellow, a sign of interest in his species. Maybe they used genetic enhancement? I checked. No artificial modifications in their DNA. Hannah pulled up more data, but I found something strange. All the original survey reports from Earth are either missing or corrupted. It's like someone deliberately destroyed the early data. "That's unusual," Crix admitted. "Survey reports are never destroyed. They're kept for historical records." Hannah showed him a fragment of an old file. She had managed to recover. The text was mostly corrupted, but a few words were readable. Gravity measurements incorrect for life development. Dangerous atmospheric conditions. Recommend quarantine. Quarantine. Crix's skin went pale blue. But humans are integrated into galactic society. They've been here for 50 years. Exactly, Hannah said, her purple spots getting darker. So why would the original surveys recommend quarantine? What changed between then and now? She made a decision that would change everything. Tomorrow, she would find the real truth about Earth, no matter what it cost her. 3 days passed, and Hannah could not sleep properly. Every time she closed her eyes, she thought about the humans and their secrets. She had tried to access more files about Earth. But every attempt hit a wall. The computer would show access denied or file corrupted whenever she got close to anything important. Her friend Crix found her in the library at midnight, surrounded by floating data screens. "You look terrible," he said, his jellyfish-like body glowing softly in the dark room. "I found something," Hannah whispered, her voice shaking with excitement. "Look at this." She showed him a partial medical report from 50 years ago, when humans first joined the galactic community. Most of the text was unreadable, but a few lines were clear. Bone density 3 times galactic average, muscle fiber composition unknown, cardiovascular system operates under extreme pressure. "This doesn't make sense," Crix said, reading over her shoulder. These readings would be normal for someone from a high-gravity Deathworld, not a Class 12 planet. "That's what I thought, too," Hannah replied. "But then I found this." She opened another file, a communication log between Earth's government and the Galactic Council from decades ago. Most of it was corrupted, but one phrase stood out clearly. Project Harmony, classification protocol approved. "What is Project Harmony?" Crix asked. "I don't know, but I think it's a key to everything." Hannah's skin turned deep purple. "Someone is hiding the truth about Earth, and I think the humans are helping them do it." The next night, they decided to break into the restricted archives. It was dangerous. If they got caught, they would be expelled from the academy and probably banned from all galactic institutions. But Hannah had to know the truth. Crix used his natural electromagnetic abilities to disable the security sensors, while Hannah worked on the computer locks. Her species was known for being good with technology, and she had spent years learning how to bypass security systems. "Got it," she whispered as the final lock clicked open. They entered the archive chamber, a huge room filled with glowing data crystals that contained thousands of years of galactic history. Hannah went straight to the Earth section, her hands shaking as she accessed the oldest files. "There," she said, pointing to a crystal marked Earth, original survey classified. She plugged her data pad into the crystal reader and held her breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, text began to appear on her screen. What she read made her gasp out loud. "Earth. Planetary classification. Class 1 Deathworld maximum threat level." The file was enormous, filled with data that painted a picture of a planet so dangerous it should not have supported intelligent life at all. Earth's gravity was listed as 9.8 meters per second squared, nearly 3 times what most spacefaring species evolved under. The atmospheric oxygen level was 21%, which was high enough to make everything extremely flammable. But that was just the beginning. The temperature on Earth ranged from minus 89 degrees to plus 58 degrees. The planet experienced regular disasters called earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and something called hurricanes that created winds strong enough to destroy buildings. The oceans were filled with massive predators, and even the land animals were described as unnaturally aggressive and physically powerful. "Listen to this," Hannah read aloud to Crix, her voice getting higher with each word. "The survey team reports that Earth has experienced at least 5 major extinction events, where almost all life on the planet died and then evolved again. The current dominant species, humans, developed intelligence while competing with predators that could crush most galactic species without effort." Crix's skin went completely white. "That's impossible. No species can evolve intelligence under those conditions. The stress would prevent complex brain development." "But they did." Hannah continued reading. "And according to this, they didn't just survive. They became the apex predator of their entire planet. The report says that humans can run for hours without stopping, lift several times their body weight, and have reflexes fast enough to catch projectiles thrown at them. She scrolled down to find more shocking information. Human bones were dense enough to be used as weapons. Their immune systems could fight off diseases that would kill most galactic species in hours. They could survive for weeks without food and days without water. They're not just strong, Crix whispered. They're living weapons. And we've been sharing classrooms with them for 50 years, Hannah added quietly. But the most disturbing part came at the end of the file. There was a note from the original survey team leader. Recommend immediate quarantine of Earth system. Any species capable of achieving space travel under these planetary conditions must be considered a potential threat to galactic stability and peace. Yet humans have been welcomed into galactic society with open arms. How had that happened? Hannah found the answer in the next file. Project Harmony Joint Human Council Initiative for Peaceful Integration. The file was mostly intact, and what she read made her understand everything. The humans had agreed to hide their true nature. They had volunteered to pretend to be weak, to act like they came from a normal planet, to never show their real capabilities in public. For 50 years, every human in space had been living a lie, and now Hannah knew why. Hannah stared at the data screen, her three-fingered hands shaking as she read the full truth about Earth. The numbers were so extreme they seemed like mistakes, but the files came from the most trusted scientists in the galaxy. Crix, look at this atmospheric reading, she whispered, pointing at the screen. 21% oxygen. Do you know what that means? Crix floated closer, his jellyfish body pulsing with nervous light. That's a fire hazard level of 9. One spark and everything would burn. Most species need oxygen masks just to visit planets with 15% oxygen, Hannah continued. But humans breathe this poison air every day of their lives. She scrolled through more data, each page more shocking than the last. Earth's gravity was 9.8 meters per second squared. The Academy's training ground was set to only 3.2 meters per second squared, which they called normal gravity. That meant every human walking around the station was carrying almost 3 times their normal weight, and they made it look effortless. No wonder June could lift that Altarian with one hand. Hannah said, on his home planet, that alien would weigh almost nothing. But the gravity was not the worst part. The temperature readings made her skin turn pale blue with fear. Earth's surface temperature could drop to minus 89 degrees, cold enough to freeze most species solid in minutes. It could also rise to plus 58 degrees, which would cook many aliens alive. They live on a planet that swings between freezing and boiling, she said in amazement, and they call it home. Crix was reading another section of the file. Listen to this description of Earth's weather. Violent atmospheric disturbances called hurricanes create wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. These storms can destroy entire cities and occur multiple times per year. Hannah found a video file from the original survey team. She opened it and watched in horror as massive walls of water, called tsunamis, destroyed everything in their path. Earthquakes split the ground open, swallowing buildings. Volcanoes shot fire and ash into the sky, turning day into night. This isn't a planet, she whispered. It's a torture chamber designed to kill anything that tries to live there. But the biological data was even more frightening. The survey team had cataloged Earth's animal life, and the results read like a nightmare. Creatures called sharks that could bite through metal. Land predators called bears that weighed 600 kilograms and could run faster than most galactic vehicles. Tiny insects that carried diseases capable of killing billions. Look at this, Crix said, his voice full of disbelief. It says humans share their planet with creatures called tigers. A single tiger can kill and eat a human, but humans are still the dominant species. How is that possible? Hannah asked. She found the answer in the next file. Humans had not just survived on this death world. They had conquered it. The biological analysis of human physiology read like a military weapons report. Human bones were 3 times denser than standard galactic average, making them almost impossible to break. Their muscles contained fibers that allowed them to lift enormous weights. Their hearts pumped blood at pressure levels that would burst the cardiovascular systems of most species. But the most shocking discovery was about human reflexes and reaction times. The report stated that humans could process threats and respond to danger faster than most military combat computers. They had evolved these abilities because on Earth, being slow meant being eaten. They're not just tough, Hannah realized. They're perfect killing machines that learn to think and feel. She found recordings of the original survey team's conversations. The lead scientist's voice was shaking as he spoke. "We've discovered something that changes everything we know about evolution. These humans develop complex emotions, art, music, and philosophy while living on a planet that should have made them nothing but savage beasts." Another scientist added, "They have weapons capable of destroying their entire planet, but instead of using them, they reached for the stars. They chose exploration over destruction." The most disturbing part came in the psychological evaluation. Human children played games that would terrify adult members of most species. They called it fun to jump from high places, to run as fast as possible, to compete in violent sports. What other species considered dangerous, humans considered entertainment. Their idea of relaxation is climbing mountains that could kill them. Crix read aloud. They swim in oceans filled with predators. They eat foods that are literally poisonous to other species and call them spicy. Hannah found the final report from the survey team. The conclusion was clear. Earth must be classified as a Class 1 Deathworld, the most dangerous planetary classification possible. Any species that achieves space travel from such an environment must be considered potentially dangerous to all galactic civilizations. But that wasn't what had happened. Instead of being feared or quarantined, humans have been welcomed into galactic society as friends and allies. They worked alongside fragile species, protecting them, helping them, never once showing their true nature. "For 50 years, Hannah whispered, every human we've ever met has been holding back their real strength. They've been pretending to be weak so we wouldn't be afraid." She thought about June helping the struggling Altarian student, about Mina finishing first in every race, but making it look easy instead of impossible. They had been protecting everyone around them by hiding what they really were. The question now was, what should she do with this terrible, wonderful truth? 2 days after discovering the truth about Earth, Hannah found herself sitting in a small, hidden room deep inside the academy. She had called a secret meeting with her most trusted friends. Crix, who had helped her break into the archives, Yuki from a research department, and Taro, whose species could sense when people were lying. "What I'm about to show you will change how you see everything," Hannah said, her skin flickering between purple and blue. She activated a holographic display, showing the files she had stolen. Yuki, a careful researcher who never jumped to conclusions, studied the data for several minutes. "This can't be real. Earth is a Class 1 death world. That would make humans the most dangerous species in known space." "The files are authentic," Taro confirmed, his sensing organs glowing softly. "She's telling the truth. But there's more to this story, isn't there, Hannah?" Hannah nodded and opened another set of files. The conspiracy goes all the way to the top of Galactic Command. After first contact with Earth 50 years ago, there were secret meetings between human leaders and the Council of Species. She showed them diplomatic records that had been buried so deep in the archives that most people had forgotten they existed. The meetings had lasted for months, with representatives from every major galactic government arguing about what to do with humanity. "Look at these different proposals," Hannah said, highlighting sections of text. The military command wanted to recruit humans as soldiers. They saw Deathworld survivors as the perfect warriors for fighting their enemies. Crix's skin went pale. They wanted to use humans as weapons. That's exactly what they wanted. But that wasn't the worst proposal. Hannah opened another file. The Hegemony Council suggested complete quarantine. They want to surround the Earth system with warning beacons and forbid any human from ever leaving their planet. Taro's sensors flared with alarm. They wanted to make Earth into a prison? "A prison for the entire human species," Hannah confirmed. They were so afraid of what humans might do that they wanted to lock them away forever. But there had been a third option, proposed by the diplomatic faction of the Galactic Council: integration through deception. If humans agreed to hide their true nature, they could join galactic society as equals rather than being feared as monsters or used as weapons. The humans chose to lie about who they were, Yuki said slowly. They agreed to pretend to be weak. More than that, Hannah said, opening a training manual that made her friends gasp. Every human in space has been trained from childhood to hide their abilities. They practice moving slowly, breathing hard during easy exercise, and pretending to struggle with things that are actually effortless for them. The manual was incredibly detailed. It explained how humans should react to different gravity levels, how to fake exhaustion, how to make their incredible strength look normal. It even included acting lessons on how to show fear things that couldn't actually hurt them. They've been performing for us for 50 years, Crix whispered. Every interaction we've ever had with a human has been carefully planned. But Hannah's investigation had revealed something even more disturbing. Recent files showed that the conspiracy was breaking down. Some factions in the galactic government wanted to expose the truth about humans for their own purposes. Military command is pushing for something called Revelation Protocol, she explained. They want to reveal Earth's true nature and use humans as weapons against the Void Syndicate. Everyone in the room knew about the Void Syndicate. Their biomechanical warriors had been destroying outer colony worlds for years, and the galactic military was losing badly. If humans were as powerful as the file suggested, they could turn the tide of the war. But other factions want the opposite, Hannah continued. They're calling for permanent severance, complete expulsion of all humans from galactic space and eternal quarantine of Earth. Taro's sensors were flashing rapid warning colors. Both options end the same way. The peaceful integration fails, and humans either become our weapons or our enemies. There's something else, Hannah said, her voice dropping to a worried whisper. My investigation has been detected. Yesterday, Security Chief Vox asked for my academic records. Today, my computer access was quietly restricted to basic student files only. Her friends looked at each other with growing alarm. If Hannah was caught with classified information, she could be expelled or worse. In some cases, theft of military secrets was punishable by imprisonment. They know you know, Yuki said simply. Which means we don't have much time, Hannah replied. Tomorrow, I'm supposed to report to the security office for questioning. If they find the data I've copied, or if they use mental probes to search my memory. A soft sound at the door made them all freeze. Someone was approaching their hidden meeting room. Hannah quickly shut down the holographic display and motioned for silence. The door opened, and human Cadet June stepped inside. His usual friendly expression was gone, replaced by something much more serious. I think we need to talk, he said quietly. His voice carried an undertone that made everyone in the room suddenly aware that they were sitting next to a being who could probably kill them all without breaking a sweat. But instead of threatening them, June just looked sad. We've known about your investigation from the beginning, Hannah. The question is, what are you going to do with what you've learned? The Academy's meditation garden was quiet under the light of 3 moons. Hannah sat on a stone bench across from June, while her friends waited at a respectful distance. The human looked tired, like he was carrying a heavy weight that had been on his shoulders for years. We've known about your investigation since the first day you started asking questions, June said gently. Every file you accessed, every database you searched, we monitor all research into Earth's classification. Hannah's skin turned bright red with embarrassment. Are you here to stop me? To make me disappear? June laughed, but it was a sad sound. If we wanted to stop you, Hannah, we wouldn't need to have this conversation. We could have ended your investigation in dozens of different ways without anyone ever knowing. The implication of his words made Hannah's blood run cold. Humans really were as dangerous as the file suggested, and they had been watching her the entire time. You're afraid of us now, June observed, seeing how she had moved further away from him on the bench. That look in your eyes, that's exactly what we've been trying to avoid for 50 years. Mina and Quan appeared from behind the garden trees, moving so quietly that none of Hannah's friends had noticed their approach. Even now, knowing what she knew about human capabilities, their natural stealth was frightening. Fear was never our choice to make, Mina said, sitting down on another bench. It was always going to be your choice whether to fear us or trust us. Quan remained standing, his arms crossed. Tomorrow morning, Security Chief Vox will call you in for questioning. Your investigation has been classified as a serious security breach. You could face expulsion from the Academy or worse. Unless... Hannah asked, sensing there was more to this conversation. Unless you make the same choice we made 50 years ago. June said, the choice between truth and peace. Mina leaned forward. When our species first made contact with the galactic community, we had several options. We could have revealed our true nature immediately, could have demanded recognition as the apex species we technically are. We could have taken control of galactic civilization within a decade. Quan added matter-of-factly, your weapons couldn't hurt us. Your ships are slower than ours. Your soldiers are weaker than our children. The casual way he said it made Hannah realize that humans weren't boasting or threatening. They were just stating simple facts. If they had wanted to conquer the galaxy, nothing could have stopped them. But we chose integration over domination. June continued. We chose to hide our strength so that other species could feel safe around us. We chose to be protectors instead of conquerors. The galaxy is changing, though, Mina said, her voice growing serious. The Void Syndicate is getting stronger. Their biomechanical warriors are destroying entire worlds. Soon, our true capabilities will be needed whether we hide them or not. Hannah thought about the war reports she had read. Entire colonies wiped out, millions of civilians killed, the galactic military retreating on every front. If humans really were as powerful as the file suggested, they might be the galaxy's only hope of survival. What do you want me to do? She asked quietly. Tell the truth. June said simply, all of it. Tomorrow, when you face the tribunal, tell them everything you've discovered about Earth. Let them decide if they can accept who we really are. But won't that cause panic? Won't people be afraid? Probably, Mina admitted. Some will demand we be quarantined again. Others will want to use us as weapons. But hiding the truth isn't working anymore. Too many people are starting to ask questions like you did. Quan sat down beside his friends. The choice is simple, Hannah. You can stay silent. Let them erase your memory of what you've learned and go back to the way things were. Or you can help us take the next step toward real integration. What happens if I tell the truth and everyone rejects humanity? What if the galaxy chooses to exile you? The three humans looked at each other, and for a moment Hannah saw something in their eyes that chilled her, not anger or sadness, but a cold calculation that reminded her these beings had evolved on a world where weakness meant death. Then we'll respect that choice, June said finally. We'll return to Earth and leave the galaxy to face its problems alone, even if billions die in the war. Even then, Mina confirmed, we won't force our help on people who don't want it. The next morning, Hannah stood before a tribunal of Academy officers and council representatives. The chamber was packed with students and faculty, all curious about why a simple security breach had become such a big event. Security Chief Vox began the proceedings. Cadet Hannah, you're charged with unauthorized access to classified files and potential breach of galactic security protocols. How do you respond? Hannah took a deep breath and made her choice. I respond by telling you the truth about Earth and humanity. For the next hour, she presented every file, every piece of evidence, every shocking revelation about Earth's true nature. The reaction was immediate chaos. Gasps of fear, demands for human quarantine, angry shouts about deception. But Hannah wasn't finished. In my investigation, I discovered something else, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. In 50 years of integration, not one human has used their superior abilities to harm another sentient being. They chose to protect us by hiding their strength. The chamber fell silent. They are from a Deathworld, but they chose to bring life to the galaxy instead of death. The question isn't whether we should fear them. It's whether we deserve their protection.